meeting Monday, October 28th, order the invocation given by Mr. Stewart and the pledge of allegiance given by Mr. Miller. Ms. Phillips, will you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Smith?
Yep.
Ms. McCrary? Here. Mr. Gary Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Patrick Stewart?
Here. First item is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I make the motion to adopt the agenda.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Next item is the approval of previous minutes from October 14th, 2013. Do I have a motion to approve those previous minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion on that? If not, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. There is no old business, so we'll move to new business. Public hearing to approve changes to the record service and regulations. So at this time, we'll have a public hearing. This is the time and place for a public hearing. Is there anyone here for this?
For the change?
Yes. Who else raised their hand? Okay. You want to speak first?
Sure.
Thank you. You have up to 5 minutes.
Okay, my name's Perry Guppy. I'm an independent businessman here in Scottsboro. As all you guys know, I'm also the chairman of the personnel board here in town. But about on late May, early June of this year, my mother, after my father passed away 3 weeks prior to this, my mother had an accident at Rod Street in 72. And there was no glass breakage. She wasn't off the road. Really no serious suspension damage. Not rolled over. No cleanup. No anything involved. And my father had used Mr. Thomas, Leon Thomas, in previous instances where he needed a record, and she knew that, so she requested Mr. Thomas for a record. Well, in the meantime, they'd call me and this, that, and the other, and of course, I went to check on my mother. And I was there, and I told them just to take it on to my place of business at that time, and which was approximately 3.5 miles away. And the record driver got there with the car and gave me a bill, $250. Well, I questioned that fact that, it seemed quite excessive to me for a 3.5-mile ride. No cleanup. She wasn't involved in any kind of recovery or anything like that. No entrapment, no anything. It was $250. Well, after several minutes of discussion, he informed me that it would have been $250 regardless of who had come pick it up. And as the discussion went along, I said, if I just broke down on the side of the road and called you to come pick me up and bring the car here, what would the charge be? $50. I said, no, in other words, you're telling me that if I had called you and you picked the car up and brought it to my place, the fee would have been $50. He said, yes, sir. I said, but because the Scottsboro Police Department involved and it was an accident, it's $250. He said, yes, sir. I said, who's getting the $200? Simple question to me. If you can draw it for $50 today, with me calling you, why can't you pull it for $50 when the police department calls you? Sorry, it's just not the way it's done. We just don't do it that way. Well, I got mad about it. I called everybody I know. I called Keith, called Ralph, and I said, Ralph, it sounds funny to me that, if I call them, it's $50. If you call them, it's $250. I said, who's getting the $200? Ralph said, well, I assure you it's not me. And I really believe it. I don't think, the police department has a thing to do with it. I think it's just a little loophole that the record companies use to charge more money. And that's fine. They're independent businessmen. I'm not going to say in the write-up that Ralph has gotten for you, for proposal for you guys. I'm not gonna tell you that I agree with everything that's in it, because I really don't. But I sure don't agree with the way it is now. You know, and I think it's, and the statement was made to me, well, insurance company paid that, it's just not a problem, it's an insurance company. It's not right, I don't care whether it's for me, or for the insurance company, or for you, or anyone else, it's not right. 3.5 miles, hook and go, is not worth $250. I don't care where you're at, it just don't work. Thank you.
Well, my name is Thomas Floyd, and I work for Jackson Trucking. I'm the trucking manager there. I got the same problem this guy does. On May the 23rd, I'm not going to call out the record services name or nothing, because he knows who he is. May the 23rd, 2013, we had an empty load tractor trailer. The driver fell asleep at the wheel and wrecked on 79 South. We get to the North Saudi Bridge over here. Well, our bill turned out to close to $17,000, and which is totally ridiculous for. I mean, I can understand there was a lot of work involved in getting pieces of truck out, but we've talked to other record services, some in this community and some in other cities, and they telling us that we got price gouged, which I can understand that situation. I've been to a lot of wrecks. I'm a retired firefighter out of Connersville, Alabama, and I've seen a lot. But I've never seen a record bill go as much as this one has. So I'm supporting what Mr. Dawg says. I don't agree with every bit of it, but you do need to fix the price rate somehow. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Lee Garner, the only thing I see in here is, do you have any repercussions for officers requesting a certain record service?
Chief?
There are no rules in there, but there are rules in our department, and that is strictly forbidden.
I mean, if it was somebody get caught, what's going to happen? If they got caught,
They would be reprimanded appropriately.
that's the question I had. Nothing in here about the officer. If officers requesting a certain record service. Because I've been out there, vehicle be out of state.
That's in our department.
You're talking about him recommended one, that's what you're saying?
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, instead of just going and say, we have a rotation list, on the next rotation, and say, I recommend Leon Thomas.
That's in our departmental rules and regulations.
So if somebody gets caught doing that, something will happen to them.
They would be reprimanded.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that everybody for this? Is anyone here against this ordinance? You have 5 minutes, sir.
I'm Mr. Royal, I represent Independent. I reviewed this, and I think there's some problems. I don't think this is ready to be voted on in any shape, form, or fashion. The first thing is there's no appeal process. The police chief has a power to suspend or to permanently suspend. There should at least be a provision that they can appeal it to the council, or they have some kind of an appeal process. The second thing is on the rates and charges. You've got a maximum fee, and you don't take into account what's being done. There should be a process to where maybe the fee doesn't exceed this unless. And then you have an appeal process, or you have a group to meet and at least understand why the charges are what they are. The charges may be reasonable. The $17,000 may be reasonable. It may not be. The only way you can tell whether or not it's reasonable is have somebody involved and go over the hours, go over the work that was done, and see if it's appropriate. What you've done here, you've got something that reads good, but it doesn't have due process. that doesn't give the people on the rotation service the opportunity to come to meet and to talk. The other difficulty is that these are independent people. They're trying to make a living. They're entitled to a fair return. We don't know where these numbers came from. We don't know if they came out of Huntsville, Mobile, or wherever. I think that there should have been a process or a work session to where each of the towing people would have had the opportunity to appear and discuss things, how it would affect them. I think y'all have done something in a vacuum that needs to be reviewed. Now, I was given something earlier today by Ronnie Hill in Tennessee. They set up these processes to go through. They don't set a fee. They set a fee shall be reasonable under the circumstances. And I think they could get together, and at least the towing services could get together and discuss what may or may not be appropriate under certain circumstances. If there's if the normal towing fee is $50 and someone charges $250 because it happens to be the city, that may be inappropriate. It may be appropriate. Now, based on what he's saying, it doesn't sound appropriate. But how do you know if you don't have a process set up to come in and to review it? And I think we're just giving too much power at this time. I think this needs to be tabled, needs to go back to a working committee, have a session, invite all of the record services, give them the opportunity to participate in the making of the rules. So I'd say at this point, I don't think this is ready to be done, and at some point it may be. But I think there's other patterns that can be looked into. We've heard a lot of rumors. Who knows what the truth? But if my understanding is right, last week, the record services was told this to be voted on today. There's not been a work session with any input from anyone. So we'd ask y'all to table this until it can be reviewed and looked at correctly.